Yes.
Going live now. Okay,
Now we're live.
I think that's when we're going live.
I think we're going live right now.
Hello.
Hello, people.
Hello.
I'm gonna make some banners while we're waiting.
Beautiful people. Hopefully you're beautiful.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully you're not one of these commies that mass reported me. Just kidding.
No,
that's
it's
an
not.
assumption.
Yeah. That'd be really funny though.
Right? Like some commies somewhere you say, yes. Very funny. Yeah. So yeah, my Instagram philosopher official was disabled, and it had 10.8 thousand followers. You know, I mean that's like over a year. That's pretty good considering how long it took me to build up just 10.8 thousand on philosopher. I mean on my Facebook page. So yeah, you know.
Yeah.
See a couple people like Ben, they had their Instagram took down too. The Zuckening is real. It is.
It's crazy.
The Zuckening, the Dorsey ending.
Yeah.
Twitter.
As Ben, hey, what's up? Ben here. He says they're purging everything. Right? Yeah. Timothy Yen says here the Zuckening is real.
Funny profile picture.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I just like turn on my phone and all of a sudden it's like, oh, your account's disabled. I'm like, okay, I wonder how that happened, because I'm pretty good about keeping abreast of everything in terms of following whatever community guidelines and stuff. Yeah, lots of boosh. But the fact that it suddenly is disabled really shows just how far it's gone. And I warned people a couple of years ago. I said Alex Jones is the canary in the coal mine. Like, if Alex Jones gets taken down, then he's the first layer. It's going to just ramp up from there, and it did. And lots of people got taken down from the anti-media, and other people that we know about, like the Free Thought Project and stuff. And we knew stuff like that would be coming. But once we saw what was happening with this election stuff, yeah, I mean, people are really starting to feel the pain because everybody is starting to, get hit.
I've heard so many people having their Facebook, Instagram accounts, Twitter, sometimes disabled. So, yeah. Who knows what caused that? I have no idea. I just know what my past several posts were, and they really weren't like, I mean, it was like one funny joke about, when it's been a long time since you've been to the range, and also there was just a picture of Alex Jones on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I didn't mention Alex Jones's name in anything, no hashtags. So I don't know. I don't know if even his face triggers the algorithms. I have no idea. Or if people mass reported me, I have no idea. There was just no reason given. It just said,
right,
oh, your account's disabled, and here you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that those who are currently heading up the machine learning at Facebook and other major social media venues are intentionally trying to feed it as much as possible. The data,
really biased data,
right, is biased toward
views,
their political views, exactly,
and what they subjectively, want to be. So,
right. I mean, the level of censorship that they're applying is so beyond ridiculous at this point that that's why we really want to encourage people right now to go ahead and make alt accounts at other venues, because I don't see how this is going to be getting any better. I think the people who are in control of their moderation pretty clearly have no reins whatsoever. It's just free for all banning it. They're just erring on the side of we're just going to remove and ban to the point where they're going to destroy everything that they have. I mean, I was even at the time running an ad.
I don't know about that. If they'll really destroy themselves, like
I think they are
driven by profit incentive, and I wonder what the numbers are like of all the people they alienate. What's the total audience? Like, is it a bunch of kids? Is it a bunch of kids in high school, middle school who, they'll click on ads and have their parents buy stuff? Like, is that the biggest audience that will have, and incentivize Facebook to even just not care about millions being alienated from their platform when they have.
Well, I believe so, because, and here's why specifically, from what I've seen, and again, I'm pretty, as people have normally seen, they're like, how is this guy everywhere? Yeah, I type fast and I read really fast. I'm very deep in social media, and I have just seen a broad base of people getting their accounts taken down or censorship. And again, I'm not talking about just libertarians, ANCAPs, or I'll even, left side, like kind of ANCOMs and that kind of stuff. We're seeing like people in the mainstream, your typical Republican, Democrat, mainstream kind of people, just getting censored, throttled for just the most mundane things. If it's anything even possibly, Donald Trump, tangential, right? Exactly.
Even his tweets are like hidden.
Right. It's such a frustrating, I guess you could say, means of just algorithmically censor everybody that I do believe, whether we agree, disagree, whatever, I don't know, but I do believe that it's going to upend the platform, because I'm not going to invest any more resources into it. Tell you right now, for sure. Like at this point, it's very, it's abundantly clear that there's no reform coming. And I was myself just spending money, just promoting something silly and simple, which is my latest comic, right? And all of a sudden, boom, that's gone.
Silly and simple.
Well, I mean, compared to what other people might be doing, that's whatever.
Maybe
I like it. You know what I mean? But most people would probably say, oh, okay, nothing like crazy important. I'm not like saving children, starving or something. Are you trying
to say it's not controversial?
Yeah. I mean, I love it, whatever, but you get the idea. In other words, something that's benign, right? I'm running an ad for something that's been otherwise benign, and all of a sudden, okay, your account's gone. Well, what happens to the payments and what I was doing and what I had paid up to that point? Are they going to keep charging me? It's like that. Those kinds of questions now are lingering. And this had already happened somewhat in 2016. And I mean, there are people who had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and then lost their accounts. I know I forgot exactly which coffee company it was. It was some conservative coffee company. But I mean, again, this is so flagrantly violative of, what they represent in terms of their agreement, you could say, in terms of posting, that I think it's over. And I was expecting it. But I mean, they are really going balls to the wall with the election.
Mm-hmm. Someone asked, do you think a better platform will emerge? So one, just to finish what you said, I think there has been censorship just ramping up, and yes, it's a really close to the election, so maybe that's part of the ramp up we're seeing. But I've also just observed a trend of it continually escalating more and more. Like when do you remember when it was like really Alex Jones was the biggest channel to be censored, and a lot of people at the time was like, well, it makes sense because he's a conspiracy theorist and he can sometimes just say totally untrue things like as an assertion, and while that's true, he's also said a lot of true things. But I remember back then, that was what, like 2 years ago or something, when Alex Jones got banned. And then after that, you saw like Free Thought Project or the Anti-Media, Carrie Wedler being taken down. People who are just pure principled, liberty-loving people and activists, like just totally getting taken down. People who are really making an impact and countering the mainstream narrative coming from government heads and the establishment corporate media. So yeah. But anyway, so someone asked if we thought a new platform would emerge. That would be
I threw better down there on the bottom, so you can see scrolling.
Oh yeah, other platforms we like: Minds, Float, MeWe.
We should talk about those, like, because seriously, I mean, really, people. I kid you not. Right now, again, if you have not, now is the time. Do not wait. Go ahead and make those. And I've been saying this for years. This is not something new. I'm not like, oh, you're a latecomer or something like that, and like just because it affects me now or something. No, I've been talking about this for years. Like literally for years, I have said, people, you need to have your backups, because once Alex Jones went down, I'm like, okay, get ready, here it comes. It's going to keep going, the whole way.
And by backup to Facebook, we don't mean Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. Like we're talking about like pure alternatives, like people who are platforms that say they're committed to free speech.
Right.
Places like Minds is a good one that I've actually one of my top favorites in terms of alternatives. But just remember too, like there's not just one best platform, because if you even look at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all 4 of those are very unique. You know, in terms of their user interface and what you tend to go to them for. So yeah, you know, Twitter can be seen as more like professional and official. It's just like short blurbs that you like type out. Usually, you can put pictures and images, but usually it's meant for that. And Facebook was different. It was like a way to connect with friends and have privacy and engage in your as a personal person. And then you had like Instagram, which was like very artsy. You know, lots of images and videos. So, you know, I don't think there would just be one. But yeah.
Well, and not just that there's not just one, but I mean, at this point, it's still uncertain which will become the most favorited, right? So again, organically, we can't predict exactly who is best, but we can talk about who has features that definitely seem competitive to Facebook. I think that's kind of a key. And, you know, I've tested out quite a few different platforms myself. I mean, we've almost always with any cool new platform, we definitely tried it out or tested just to see what it'd be like. You know, we've had like, for example, Steam It, before there was a bunch of, you know, chain dispute issues. We've had that since it basically came out. Although that's not our favorite, you know, it's not our style.
Not anymore.
You know, we had Minds basically when it started to become more functional. I mean, it'd been around for a long time, but it became more functional past couple of years. You know, had MeWe since 2018, technically.
Yeah, I have my Hangouts on Minds now.
Yeah.
I can have a group, and then you can do a video chat now. It's not Mind software, it's somebody else, but they claim to be like privacy focused and have like end-to-end encrypted video chat. So interesting. You know, I just love seeing the alternatives at the same time. And I just got to say, like, you know, just stress every call for the freaking government to come in and control us some more. Like, let's not have these regulations on businesses to social media companies to prove, hey, you're not censoring or whatever, and start all this bureaucracy. Like, no, we don't need that. Like, yes, it's very frustrating that, you know, these companies like Facebook and Twitter are censoring people. You could also look in if they're getting government money too, or selling your data to the government. That's a conflict of interest there. But, you know, otherwise, if you just assume there's some purely private, you know, enterprise, it is very frustrating. But what you do in a market society anyway, in a stateless society, is you try to persuade others to change, and you call it out. You just always, you know, call it out and explain why it's not good, and also, you know, create alternatives and move to alternatives as well. So yeah, just gotta remind people, because I know it's so easy to just be like, well, now, you know, we gotta get the government in here, the federal government, and make sure it's a public utility.
Yeah, like Joe Rogan was saying with Jones. He's like, oh, I just feel like these social media platforms, they should have the First Amendment platform. I'm like, dude, first off, I wish I could be on that show to be like, have you thought about the fact that you're saying that they have to be forced to host whatever content you post? You know what I mean? Because that's what it means when you say, oh, okay, they have to host something. It's like, hold up, that's not the right way to do that, because again, they're paying for storage. Like that, you know, that information has to sit on a server somewhere. So I don't know. Anyway, Joe Rogan doesn't always get the best of you know, the libertarian to voluntarist intellectuals on his show, but I digress. Minus what, like Michael Malice, you know what I mean? But
sure.
Yeah. So basically, what we're looking for with social media right now, again, with what people really want and need, again, if we're comparing to what is popular and why, right? You need a platform where people are able to make posts that can be shared. Because obviously people like sharing what their friends are doing, this or that.
Yeah, keep up with your friends and family.
Social and viral. You need the ability to be able to interact readily. You know, like obviously people really like reacts of various sorts and comments and things like that. Pages.
MeWe's good at that.
Someone just said, right? MeWe is looking.
You can choose
promising.
all kinds of emojis. Actually, you're not limited to the 5. You can do, You can do a gun emoji. They actually have the gun emoji.
They have the gun emoji.
They have the gun emoji.
That is a very big plus.
Like oddly, it's like satisfying to react. I like going on MeWe. That's probably where I go to like just see how people are doing. And I've friended a lot of people already, and some people have started to share just like personal photos, and it feels like a Facebook replica because you can really easily control who you're friends with and if you post publicly or not. Whereas mine's is more geared, from what I've seen, to be like public posting, like channels, pages, public figures, which is good. And then you can, as a private user, be on there. But if you're a private person, you don't really like go on there to post about your family and friends and personal stuff. At least not from what I've seen. So yeah, and then Float has felt like Twitter light, like Twitter in the early stages, because you can post a picture. I don't think you can post video actually, but it's geared kind of like Twitter, where you can post pictures, you can post really short videos, but it's mostly about like quips. Like you can share memes, you can like write quotes or your thoughts. So it feels like a Twitter. And the reason I went to Float was it was the replacement for bitbacker.io, which is a crypto alternative to Patreon and not crowdfunding, but like subscription based
content,
monetary platforms like Patreon and Subscribestar. But Bitbacker allowed you to accept crypto, and then Float took over, so I can accept Bitcoin there and have subscribers like Patreon, but with Bitcoin, and other crypto. So So yeah, it's cool. I mean, those are the few. I like how we mentioned mine's Float and MeWe, because mine's kind of reminds me of like YouTube, and Float is kind of like Twitter, and MeWe it feels like Facebook.
I think that those, to me, they're the most promising, and a big reason why I think they're promising. Again, there's likely going to be failure among them, but just because the nature of someone's going to do the best. But I think most important thing with your platform is you need a solid monetization strategy, and with Minds, they at least have the idea of buying into their tokens so that you can promote posts and boost them. Because again, you want advertisement, you want to be able to reach people, you want a way to like extend your outward reach beyond your friends. And I think that's a very powerful thing. I think Mayway is pretty good in terms of helping to wean out some garbage by having you pay a monthly fee if you want a page, as much, and it's not like a lot. I mean, it's like a couple dollars, but at the same time, it's like, oh, okay, it's a barrier to entry that makes it where it's like, okay, you have to be serious or like kind of interested in actually making a page, and at least it funds a channel that way. So to me, it's like, if you don't have a strong mechanism for funding the platform, of course, because there's data, you need servers, it's going to take time, and resources and people to manage that. If you don't have a good funding mechanism, I don't think the platform is very sustainable. So, to me, that's what we're really looking at. Float, they have some, funding support options. And I heard, because Kingsley Edwards, the person who made it, he's actually a principled voluntarist. So Kingsley, the guy who actually made Float, I really root for. Like, he is my, hey, I want him to win. I have a bias because of him and his values, but he definitely, he has said this, he has to like up his game in terms of like how they monetize and do, boost poster advertising, because they need a way to get money into the platform where people want to be incentivized to come there, spend money, have things boosted to certain people.
Yeah. Like I would spend the Bitcoins that I've gotten through Float to just boost my posts, my public posts. That'd be cool. So yeah, exciting. I'm like, I just want to know the programming language. I'm like, how'd you do this? Like, how'd you code this? I'm just curious. But I have to mention, which is not something I'm like, it's not like a public page, but with your closest friends and family, think about getting on Signal for text messaging and phone calls and video calls on your phone, and get your core friends and family there. Like, give them your number, get on Signal, And if you're both on it, you'll have end-to-end encrypted text messages and phone communication and video if you're both using the app. So I just think the time it's showing for the past couple of years. I've just observed a continual escalation of suppression of thoughts about individual liberty and freedom and being against a centralized coercive government. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, again, I'm seeing it cause frustration for many people in the mainstream. Again, it's not just limited to people who are, in the minority of either political or, ideological or spiritual beliefs. It's literally starting to creep up and cause frustration for, very mainstream people. So I think that it is just a matter of time at this point, and especially as it escalates and they change the algorithms leading to this election, that there's going to be a lot of people saying, what's the alternative? And I think that if you want to help build those, the best thing you can do, honestly, if you have friends or family who are not on those platforms, right? And, maybe you have a personal favorite, whatever. For a lot of people I've seen, it's just what it is. I'm just reporting what I see. Mayway has been the most popular. Why? It looks the most and feels the most like Facebook. Again, just set your family up.
Private there.
Right. You can have like a private profile. Go set whoever it is up. You got a mom, dad, whatever. I did that for my parents when they learned Facebook, when they learned, Steam it, when they learned whatever, YouTube. I set them up. I helped them just see how it worked, and they used it. It's the same thing. If you have friends or family who are, they're voicing like, oh, this is frustrating, or like, something that got, that whatever it is, they post something that's got some weird fact check, something went missing, and they said that you violated, they got a ban, whatever. Use it as an opportunity to say, hey, guess what? This is alternative platform. Check this out. Get them set up. Because at this rate, basically they're running the company in the ground. I mean, there's just no way around it. They are going to create pretty much a huge division among most everybody at this point, because again, there's only so many ways you can algorithmically control like a billion profiles before it starts just randomly selecting different people's stuff and then causing them to get frustrated because all of a sudden their stuff's missing or they catch a ban and they're doing something important. Again, if Facebook wants to be a business and, oh, hey, spend money here, do advertisement, and then all of a sudden your account's gone, that doesn't fly. You know what I mean? It's just, that's not real world. Like, imagine if you got a billboard, right, on the side of the road, you paid, $3,000 a month to run it off a highway. And all of a sudden, like, oh, your billboard, yeah, that thing that you paid $3,000 for, it's gone. Like, that's what Facebook's freaking doing with people who are running $1,000, $100,000, ads. It's insane. So they're just going to keep pissing people off, and I personally want them to fail in the sense that I like the platform in terms of what they've designed. It's obviously Facebook is incredible in terms of the technology. It is wonderful, but the people who have taken control of moderation are absolute technocratic tyrants, central planning, freedom hating, hyper triggered people. It is going to
bunch of commies
collapse.
And socialists. In my opinion. Cultural Marxists, you could say, commies.
Right. So it's something that you just have to face. And again, we love doing work where we do broad outreach, right? We make all kinds of things, memes, videos, comedy of sorts, if you call it that. We want to get that out to broader audiences, of course, too. And we try to use Facebook as much as we're able to without getting banned. But we're realists here. We can't pretend like we're not going to be there, for long at this rate. And I think that it's fair to say, be wise and, use Facebook still if you like it, but go make the backup. Don't pretend it's not going to happen. Go tell your friends, go make the backups, go get them on there so that when it happens, because it's going to happen. I mean, at this point, by and large, especially if you're watching this right now, it's probably going to happen to you. If it hasn't already happened a lot. And from what I've read already, it sounds like a lot of people.
The sell to your libertarian friends is they might get zucked. And the sell to your like normie family and friends is like, just be like, oh yeah, Mayway's more fun. See, like, it has to be more.
Or just that they might get annoyed too. Again, even the ancient people are tired of seeing a fact check under everything they have, and the fact checks don't make any sense or whatever. It's just so dumb. You know what I mean? It's reached a point where it's comedic.
Even normies.
Yeah, I've seen it. Again, even normal people are just like, what is this stupid, like, why are you telling me to vote for 20 different posts every day? Like, stop. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
Yeah, I didn't come on here to hear you like tell me to vote in every single freaking thing.
Yeah. Some people are just apolitical. Like they just want to be left alone, but they don't want to be involved in politics or vote. They're just like, okay, here's taxes, whatever. But otherwise they don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to vote. They won't do anything related to it. But maybe even they would be annoyed by that. I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, I just don't think that they are self-aware enough there to really empathetically get how frustrating, annoying what they're doing is for all kinds of people. Like, I mean, it's not just like, oh yeah, we're getting
what about the kids,
white supremacists or something. Like it's like, no, you
don't think they'll keep like kids or people who are just so bought in. They're like, yeah, voting.
Well, okay, so I can actually speak authoritatively to that on two accounts. One, Facebook tried to get kids in. That's why they made Facebook Messenger, right? And then you have to have special limited access in order to message with kids. They were trying like, ooh, we can, get kids on it, get them hooked early. Problem is, kids think that Facebook is for loser parents, right? They associate with that. I mean, literally, I talk to kids all the time. Not because I'm like some weirdo guy. I work with students, I own a tutoring company, stuff like that. So I'm
some weirdo guy.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh, hey,
go
kids.
To the park. Hey, kids, what do you think about Facebook?
Yeah. What do you think about social media? No, I mean, I work with young people all the time because, that's my line of work, and I literally, they tell me, they're like, oh my gosh, they're trying to make me use Facebook.
Thanks, Brett.
Yes, thank you, Brett. They're trying to make me use Facebook so I can use my VR headset like Oculus. Like the kids hate it. They think that Facebook, you know what I mean, is this like their, version of our boomers is, a bunch of millennials and stuff, these old people, right? They think it's stupid. So it's backfired.
Yeah, they like Instagram and Snapchat.
Right. They did like Instagram and Snapchat, TikTok. Yeah. TikTok and other stuff.
Chinese. That's what it is in Chinese. It's not TikTok. It's TikTok.
Right. The fact is they don't like it. The kids don't, which again, I'm glad, I'm glad they're.
But they also own Instagram.
Right.
A lot of kids do like middle school, high school.
They do. But I think even that's transient. I think for what I've seen, they move on quickly. Young people today, they're just especially super moving on apps and stuff like that. It's
for those just coming in, I got censored on Instagram. I mean, Instagram censored. Yeah.
Literally, your account is gone
for no reason. They disabled my Instagram account. You can't find me anymore.
Yeah,
it's Philosopher Official, right? And they own WhatsApp,
right?
Hey, Navadi Cario, no pao pika. I always try to say your name, but yeah. So, see you, Nick. But yeah.
So I mean, it's something where
someone said technically I have a kid. I might disagree with it.
They might. I'd love to hear their individual thoughts. But I mean, again, most kids aren't also watching this channel. You know what I mean? It's a whole different demographic.
Right. I just realized that. That's the bigger what's going on right
here.
Not just you're on Facebook.
Yeah. But typical kids these days, they're not into it. But it's something that is so important to just go ahead and do. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's just like, it could be a chore or whatever. Just go do it. Go make a Mayans Mayway float account. Just have them as a backup.
Yeah.
Tell your friends, hey, this is what it is. Just so that they're there. Again, it's just one of those things. Because there's a good chance at this point that most people, especially if you're watching this, soon enough, you're going to wake up and your account's going to be disabled. And you're like, oh. And then all your good friends that you've made online, because again, the next libertarian, voluntarist, whatever is, 50, 100 miles away from you, at least now you have a place where you've already aggregated your friends, whether it's, Mayway Float or Minds, whatever, at least is there. It's something that's annoying to do and frustrating to do, but it's 100% worth doing because it's just going to get worse. I mean, it really is. These people are psychopaths. They will literally do anything that they think will lead to a Joe Biden presidency. Even people like us, where we're not really talking too much, except just like screw them both. You know what I mean? Like we're not like hardcore into like the nuances of everyday political arena stuff, but they're willing to go after anybody. It's very clear. So
Yeah. I mean, we'll see if my Instagram comes back up. I don't know. It says I have to wait a full day and then I can request a review to see if it was disabled by, wrongly. So yeah. So but still, at least it was just Instagram for now. Um Facebook is where I started originally, and it has my most followers, 100,000. So that would have been pretty big to crush. Although at the same time, I've had more reach on Instagram with just 10.8 thousand followers and some posts than my Facebook,
Right.
with 100,000 followers. So weird.
That's what's terrible.
They're
Is
really
it's like,
throttling my reach as well on
right.
Facebook.
Facebook already throttles everything
I
because
don't
they
know if
want
it's
you to
that much of
pay.
a loss anymore.
Right. And Instagram was like, oh, okay, it actually more serviced to people, it actually serviced out. So it's
Yeah,
insane. And
definitely.
it's something that you just have to face. Like, it's a reality that you have to face. It sucks. And it sucked for a lot of our friends and people that we know and hold dear, you know what I mean? And we've had them on and stuff like that and talk about their struggles and woes, like Jason Bassler.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Jason.
Right. I mean, that was nuts. You know what I mean? They literally had
had,
millions of people on their pages gone like
I
that.
think 3 million at some point for anti-media and or
You have Free Thought Project. Yeah, police. I mean, it's just, and we knew, like, we felt bad, and we're like, yep. We definitely did expect that to happen.
Talk about it again.
We definitely are gonna have to.
Yeah, just feel like how because that was a big hit for them financially too.
Yeah, they had to fire their writers because they didn't have the revenue coming in. They did.
Yeah.
So totally, you know what I mean?
Like, they got fired by Facebook in a way.
And to me, what makes me the most angry is that this, I don't believe, was the original, or at least from what I've seen, it was not the original necessarily, chief goal of Zuckerberg and everybody. I don't think that they were looking to necessarily delete and ban and do all this stuff from the get-go. And you might be saying, well, why wasn't that? They seem so big about it now. For what I've seen, it was the Senate hearings that happened with social media companies that led to this change. Because from a business perspective, right, what's the best thing you could possibly have if your business is data mining? You want everything, right? You want people posting everything, even if it's something that's totally wrong and bad. You can either sell that data in terms of like using it for research. You can use it for monetization. Like, someone wants to reach people, even if they have really bad opinions or wrong opinions. Again, if your business is data, you want everything because you can turn that into something that you can sell, whether it's outreach and advertisement or data mining for some other purpose, whatever. So the idea of like banning, removing the stuff like that, like, just does not, from a business perspective on which Facebook was built on, make a lot of sense. And it does make a lot more sense when you actually watch the congressional hearings that happened. I think it was like 2017, and Zuckerberg was brought before Congress, and they're talking about election meddling and things like that. You know what I mean? In that context, it's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? They're trying to like conform to this and like make it seem like they're not doing something bad because they're worried about regulation from the government. You know what I mean? But this should never happened. You know what I mean? It should have never been a thing. But again, what I think sprung this is government interference through and through. It's always been those in the state trying to control what people say and do for their benefit, not necessarily for the benefit of people subjectively valuing what Facebook had to offer. So it is very annoying. And someone here said 2018, Jack. Yeah. So yeah, 2018, the hearings. Thanks. I feel like Alex Jones now from that show where they're like, hey, Jamie, could you pull up that? And then they're like, oh yeah, this year it was, you're 10 years off. I'm like, whoops. So whereas Google on the other hand, as compared to Facebook, Google definitely was about, controlling what people think and do, like 100%. Like that was definitely there from early on. But the I would say manipulation in Facebook is way more recent because I'm an early Facebook user. I literally like used Facebook about as soon as it passed out of Harvard.
I mean, how recent are you talking about? 2 years? Because I've seen it the past 3 years.
The censorship was not as big a deal until after the Obama presidency. That's when it started to become a thing. Before then, it was so free for all. I mean, really and truly, you could do and build anything.
Someone, I just have to say, someone, because it's kind of like a sign of our times, even in America, says, I sneaked across the border about a month ago. Now, I don't know for what, but I can assume maybe it was like to escape shutdowns. I have no idea. Mandatory
which border? I don't know.
Yeah,
California's border? I mean, definitely
Mexico
sneak out of
to
there.
here to Canada. But
So.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We know of a few friends and family that when traveling they chose just to drive instead of go through the airports.
Absolutely.
Because now you have to wear a mask on a plane up in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the planes are already, the seats are already so close together now because of all the stupid regulations and how costly it is.
So. Oh, Stacia says, I read about Facebook disabling people's accounts out of nowhere going back to 2007. Yes, I mean, there's going to be instances of people that maybe had something deleted or this or that or whatever. Yes, there was still some standards and issues because, again, they said you couldn't do anything illegal, whatever. But I'm talking about the mass machine learning algorithmic strikes of taking down people at large was a recent phenomenon in terms of like the past 5 or 6 years. It was a post or early Trump, you could say, leading into Trump, but post-Trump, really, mass censorship that was developed. I mean, there wasn't the Atlantic Council, all those years ago. They didn't have a type of global partnership for figuring out what's allowed to be said or not, and what. I mean, it's such nonsense. But again, I mean, obviously, there's some issues with Facebook itself having some, Q and Tel connections and government and stuff like that. But besides, those government fundings, which in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean censorship. It might just mean, of course, as always, those in the CIA want as much data as possible. So, hey, we got a great data mining tool. People will give it to us for free. They'll post their pictures and their, family's history. Oh, great. We can data mine that all day. Yes. But using, private business information has always been, something that those in the state have done, whether it's data collection or, patents or whatever. I mean, of course. So. But it's something that is come to its head. So you definitely gotta make some accounts.
Yeah, and follow me on Mind.
You want to go to
Mind? If you go to my website, you can see all my links there, thephilosopher.com, or you could go to my link tree and see all of my links to different things there as well. Here, let me see.
You're gonna type that in? Yeah, she's gonna type that in. There's a lot of links, so that's why she's going to put that link tree in there. But yeah, I mean, it's something where I cannot help but feel concerned about the future because with so much data that the government has access to with these things, I look at what's happening with the Chinese government and the social credit system and everything that has been done there and think, oh, wow, it's...
What if you can't travel if you don't have a Facebook account?
You don't have Facebook. That's really funny.
It's tied to your ID. I don't know.
It's something where it's coming to that point. Sensation. It really is. It's coming to that point where if you do anything, it's gonna be covered and recorded and used against you. I mean, it's really almost at that critical juncture, and that's what's really scary to me is that
a pregnant woman in Australia was arrested for organizing a Facebook event.
Yeah.
To be against the lockdowns.
Yeah.
So, it's happening in every country, even America, what's supposed to be, land of the free, home of the brave. That's what I was indoctrinated to believe when I went to public school. I remember all those songs and crossing my heart. But, that's just the government bastardization of the idea of freedom and liberty and the culture of it in America. So I don't know. I try to attach to that culture rather, which has been perpetuated over the centuries by people who just love liberty and freedom in America, so, and around the world, and in all parts of the world. There are libertarians everywhere. And, the time is now for us to band together. If you're online, like, use an alias, figure out how to use a VPN, get on Signal for text messaging, so you have end-to-end encryption, and get your closest friends and family on it. Right now we live in this critical time where they really are trying to suppress those in power, really trying to suppress those that threaten their power. Libertarians advocating for individual freedom and abolishing taxation because it's extortion were huge threats to government power and control. So, if you are out there and you understand that, liberty requires eternal vigilance, then you are one of the people with us trying to fight back against the totalitarians, the authoritarians of the world, the socialists, the communists, the statists that just want to control your life and all your resources and not allow you to have your own property and your own freedom, and to take away your ability to defend your life and preserve it with guns and whatever tool weapon that you need. So, here we are. Yeah, definitely. We need to grow our liberty networks, locally. If you're in churches, like, just start talking about freedom, the principle of self-ownership and consent, and spread that love and culture of liberty with us. We'll never, just achieve it and be able to just stop fighting. Like, there are people, from whatever reason, their corrupt bloodlines are out to control and manipulate you and kill and imprison you if you don't comply. So those are the kinds of people we're up against. And just grow your network, learn about alternatives. Don't give the government more power, like, resist the urge to control other humans as well and perpetuate the cycle of violence and government tyranny. And stay in touch with us. Check out, all those links I just posted on where you can find me. And Jack, where can people find you?
Well, we posted underneath the videos out there. We posted links to our different pages. Like, she has thephilosopher.com. I have volcomic.com. I also have theassociation.com. So I'll post those out just to be sure. But they're underneath there, underneath the video and listed down below, so you can check it out. But I'm not too worried about, I guess you could say, absolutely disappearing. Some people have had some really tough times. We've prepared well because we've always expected this in terms of, being taken down and stuff like that. We always thought that was a very real possibility. So we've backed everything up, in different places, from, you could say, mines, float, steam it. Where's the YouTube videos backed up even at?
BitChute,
right?
library.tv, LBRY.tv. That's a blockchain video platform and content platform. They have other stuff besides videos, but both BitChute and library allow you to do auto upload to your pages there from YouTube. So that automation is great. Thanks, developers and whoever added that. Appreciate it, because that means I don't have to, like, okay, let me go here and then upload. It just automatically takes it from my YouTube, which is great.
Right.
So Jack put his links in the chat as well. So stay in touch. Keep in touch. Have backups. If some of you are on Facebook and you have a lot of Liberty friends that you've met on here, like through groups, just, share with them and just say, hey, I'm on MeWe, or, wherever you choose to make your alternatives. But just have some, and
I had like 2,700 friends on just my, Jack account alone. So it's like, it's pretty crazy that, it's something where you don't have that opportunity, I think, in historical terms, to be able to just meet so many people who just love liberty, because it's like it can feel very lonely, right? You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I really care
2000's a
about
lot.
how,
Yeah.
it's like I care about how much liberty I have and how much I'm treated with respect and proper rights, stuff like that. And it's like, most of the people around you are like, oh, okay, how about the government steals, you know what I mean, everybody's money and has perpetual war and
Sure.
throws you in jail over a plant. We're like, wait a second. It's just nice to be able to have people around the world who are on that same journey as you, just basically
Definitely.
going
Like
through
you
that
guys
intellectual
here.
journey.
Like you guys here. So thank you.
OnlyFans not so funny now,
Like
huh?
Chris. Oh yeah. Okay, time to get an OnlyFans.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I
OnlyFans.
don't have to post what's it's stereotypically known for. Paranoia dev.
Yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
like, hey,
What's
cut my
$8?
OnlyFans for my Australian, probably Australia
Oh,
dollars.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Did they have more inflation? Is that actually like
I don't know.
5?
It depends. Oh, Australia is pretty much in the dumps right now. So sorry, Australia, but
Sorry.
it's true.
No wonder he's so paranoid.
Yeah, it's
He
true.
should be.
Australia really sucks right now. And again, if you're
It's
Australian,
starting to
it's
suck
not
here
like
in
you don't
different
know this.
parts.
You know it's been
Some
sucking.
places here feel like Australia.
Some people, yeah,
New
I mean,
York,
definitely. If you're in
Cali.
LA County, like California's LA County, you feel like you're in Australia in some ways. But even they can like leave. It's not like what that Victoria, province of Australia, where it's like you can't leave past 5 kilometers. I mean, I would have literally have murdered. Well, it's not murder at that point. I would have killed the police officers who would have tried to keep me home. I'm not joking. I straight up, if I was in Australia and I was in Victoria, I would have been organizing and straight up murking those people. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm very lucky in many
Weren't
ways.
They already disarmed in a lot of ways.
There's guns there, but I mean,
to...
you just take the guns of the police. But I mean, I'm just being real. I'm just tired of it. Like, I'm very fortunate that I'm in a place where I'm not having to face that ethical, moral dilemma. I'm very thankful that I don't have to face that.
Yet.
But I can't imagine what it's like for people who actually have to sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, do I actually comply or
I just have to say
do I
yet.
resist?"
Like, we have to keep changing the culture and push back, like, and make these freaking politicians and just people in general just, afraid to enact tyrannical laws. Like, just we gotta foster this culture of individual liberty and self-defense. Like, it's maybe not now are you in direct danger, like, and of course take care of yourself and your family, but if you can, like, try to connect with other people in the world, whether locally or online or both. And yeah, so
So here, Brian says here, he says, wait for forced vaccines. It's war then. Yeah, no, that's a threshold for me for sure. If there's forced vaccines, it's a shoot moment for me. I'm 100% committed to that. It's you do that. You try to say I can't exist unless I get shot up with. And I've had vaccines. I mean, obviously parents gave me whatever. But if I don't have the ability to consent or not, it's over. I don't care. I'm going to war. So straight up, I don't give.
Well, because that's literally your body.
It's a principle
body
thing. Whether I want it or
not,
it's a principle thing.
That's when.
Yeah.
It's
so
they're jeopardizing your life.
I don't care.
So
they'll get a vaccine from me. Very hot lead, but it's not like I want it. Again, I don't want it. I'm not like, oh, let me go look for this. I'm not looking to start violence in any way whatsoever. I'm looking to be peaceful in my life, enjoy friends, enjoy family. I love going out, to eat or traveling and, doing stuff and being creative. But if you're going to say
like
I have
literally
to be a slave
living your
to you,
life
or I'm
and
gonna,
your limited time of consciousness on this planet, like, in this life to your knowledge, like, yeah, of course you want to enjoy it like how you please.
Right.
So
is that a threshold for you too?
What? Forced vaccines?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's literally your body, and you can die.
It's like, oh hey,
I don't get how.
It's insane. It really it is something that
you gotta just teach people. It's about property rights. It's about your body and your property rights. It's like, you can keep me from your property, assuming it's your justly acquired property, and say, hey, if you don't have a vaccine, you can't come on. Okay. Well, that's a form of property rights respect.
Right.
But then I can respond with persuasion. And that should be the freaking way that humans evolve together, not violence, because you're just going to create more and more sick people in the world with depression or anger issues or sociopathy. And humans aren't going to evolve to be more intelligent and peaceful. So, and figure out how to thrive in this world without killing your fellow man, your fellow humans. So, and there's a lot of us, which I find solace in, definitely. But again, like I said, now is that critical time. Like, you gotta find local meetups, get active, find friends. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Jay Ron. He says, "Hey, Jack, suppa." I can't say, unfortunately, as I just got to work. Okay, good luck at work.
Have a good time at work.
Yeah, hope all as well.
Yeah.
Likewise. Thanks so
Appreciate
much.
you giving
That's
us
like
a piece
bowl
of
of pho.
your labor.
That's a bowl of pho around here. Thank you.
Yeah, it is something that, gosh, I mean, the idea of wanting liberty, the people in current power have tried to turn that into something that is evil. Like, and it's so disgusting that
related to white nationalism, or
right? Like, oh, how dare you wish to be free to choose what food you want and choose to be able to travel, or choose to be able to go to a grocery store without a mask, or choose to just see friends and family for Thanksgiving. I mean, these people are the most anti-human, disgusting, evil people you can possibly imagine. It is absolutely insane to think that someone wanting liberty, autonomy, family, a great prosperous economy of people being free to trade, they make that as if that's evil. Like, that is a complete bizarre world. And
of course,
it is
that's how they're trying to
frustrating.
Win. I don't think they truly think that. I think that's just how they are trying to suppress our ideas for liberty. Saying things like, "Oh, you just want corporations to rule. You just want the rich to get richer." These socialist communist lies. Like, these are all the things that they say that I don't think most of them don't truly believe. At least the ones that are the highest up. Like, they want property and body rights respected for themselves. They want their own.
They want the hypocrisy.
They want to collect property in mass. Without limit. And acquire capital and accumulate it, and not have any limits imposed on them. They don't want to pay taxes. I don't think anyone should.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, they say you should pay taxes. You should contribute to the greater good. But yet they're some of the most, by their own standards, selfish people that in fact don't care if someone has to die or go to prison for them to get money. These are the kinds of people we're up against. And yeah. So
all right. I mean, that reminds me from when we watched the Alex Jones and Joe Rogan podcast thing, just talking about the idea that all these people who are in the biggest corporations, multinational corporations, who sit there and say, "Oh yeah, we really care about the environment, or we really want to like have more taxes to be able to support different social welfare programs, things like that." Like, in every single way, they act the opposite, right, for themselves. They're the ones who have big offices and are flying in private jets.
Yeah.
All their CEO stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're the ones, who are basically having offshore weird structures for their companies, and like basically like having a offshore company, and they're like licensing patents, so they have to pay $0 in taxes. I mean, you know what I mean? They're the ones that are literally doing the most, in their terms, capitalistic thing, right? They're the ones who are literally doing the most capitalistic thing, and then telling everybody else to live differently.
Like Bernie Sanders.
Absolute madman.
I need 3 mansions.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, that was really
driving nice cars, owning multiple houses, and he's like, "Oh yeah." And then he changed from millionaires to billionaires, right? Once he made $1 million on his book, oh okay, now it's billionaires. We gotta be worried about the billionaires instead of the millionaire. It's just these people are lying sacks of shit. That's just all there is to it.
It's true.
They literally are psychopaths who will say and do anything to empower themselves while disempowering you, while keeping you in poverty, while having you be miserable, but they get to do everything, they want freedom wise. It's absolutely evil. So,
yep. Really is. It is. Someone said, have you covered Trump's ATF reclassifying the AR and other large frame pistols as...
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, we posted about that, just talked about that. I mean, and, it's talking about, it was, offshore, importing stuff. But I mean, that's just silly because it's like, okay, yeah, where do you think the freaking American, companies are getting their pistol braces manufactured, you dingus? Like, it's like they're having them made offshore because it's cheaper to make a plastic freaking brace and, whatever, like rubber and Velcro offshore.
They don't like it.
What do you think's gonna happen?
They don't like how popular it's gotten, you know. And interestingly, this happens right after a ton of like gun sales surged this year, and the first time, the number of first time gun owners, increased a lot. I could have said something
100,000 plus at least in California alone.
In response to first the coronavirus shutdowns, and seeing supplies being limited at the stores for food, toilet paper. And then after that, you had riots and looting in different parts of the country, and like police not even doing anything, but actually just going after actual peaceful protesters. So, it's like all these people, it was like it just comes right after that, the most popular platform, and just trying to reclassify AR pistols. So, and yeah.
Well, I mean, as you made in your video, 3 reasons to abolish the ATF.
They just need to go.
Reasons is they just make up shit.
We're extorted to fund these people that go after our fellow peaceful human beings that just want to defend their lives and their families, their property. Like, I'm so tired of it. I'm just tired of it. Being coerced to fund these people.
It is frustrating. It's frustrating that
so you got to speak out against it at every turn. Express your frustration. Say taxation is theft. Start debates with your family and just get them realizing the idea that they can't consent. They don't have their consent respected in this by their governments. They don't. Like, the government doesn't respect you and your body and your property. You are just, from the state's perspective, just a piece of cattle for them to get money off of and, suck out your wealth and your life force. And then if you aren't doing that for them, well, then you're just a liability and they will kill you and end your life. So, we just got to get people, our friends, our family realizing that. Yeah, taxation is theft.
Yeah, so, I mean, it really is. It's if we do not convince others of our ethical positions. And again, that's all it is. It's, you can sit there and speculate as to all different kinds of things of what will happen with different economic aspects and futures. But at the end of the day, it's an ethical position. That's the cornerstone of it. Which is, do you think that people at an individual level should have the highest claim to their body and that they should be respected? That is not physically infringed upon, respect their consent as to their body and their physical property. If you don't have that basis, everything else is chaos. Because if you don't have that, then people think that they have a right to mess with you, to mess with your home, to mess with whatever is, important to you that you've worked to earn, to trade for, to build. And this is the most important possible human evolution that can happen, is the private property rights ethic. Because if you don't have that, you just don't have respect of individuals. And as much as people might be beguiled into thinking, oh yeah, I'm part of some collective, so I'll be protected, it's just not true. As long as there isn't a respect of individual discrete property rights, you're subject to some majoritarian whim of, whether you get to have your house, right, eminent domain, your money with property taxes, your physical property with whatever bans that, whoever politician or city council wants to make up, whether it's your grass is too long or your barrel's too short, whatever it is. It's just, you cannot have a system that doesn't respect property rights in a very sovereign, discrete, individual way without having mass violence.
Creativity is not going to flourish as much. You think all of this variety we have at the store and Like the people who are just driven purely and focused on like one specific invention and like trying to make it better and more efficient. Like, you think that will happen if you actually don't have the freedom to keep what you own and what you do and defend your life? Like, it's gonna be a gray, miserable world like the Soviet Union or communist Vietnam that my family escaped from. Like, I don't want my family to run anymore, like from China to Cambodia, escaping different dictators or violent, coercive people. Vietnam, like, I don't want to run. I just want this to be my stake in the ground. Like, it's over. Like, just gotta keep advocating for liberty and pay it forward all the joys of liberty that we experience today, and technology, like just being able to live stream like this. I just want to help people like understand what it takes to have this sort of prosperity and wealth. And there's a lot of wealth and prosperity now. Imagine how much more if 50-60% of your income wasn't taken out coercively by some central monopoly that you can never just quit without paying them some huge extortion fee. So,
Right.
like, life is really beautiful and so is freedom, and there's a lot to fight for. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Glad
I
all
mean,
you people
it's
are out here with
important.
us.
Like, you're important. Like, if you're watching this again, you're important. Don't let anybody else tell you that, oh, you don't matter or whatever. Your influence is negligible. Because the fact of the matter is that if we don't have that level of every single person influencing and talking and changing minds, we just will not be able to stop the statist onslaught. I mean, because they have so many advantages in terms of indoctrinating young kids in public school, using stolen money to fund many people's paychecks and keep them very much addicted to the government teat. So it is every single person's, whatever it is, whether you share an article or you just make a comment about something and talk about it. It's so valuable, and you're so valuable as a person. It's not a matter of, oh, okay, someone else is doing something bigger, so I'm nothing. It's like, no, every single thing is important because every single person working, talking, just changing minds literally changes the future. It shapes the future.
Like, just living your life, being a good person, a good husband, wife, parent, brother, sister, daughter, son, like just sharing empathy and compassion with your fellow man, your neighbors, your family, friends, like that alone helps you be influential and also can help someone be more open to the political ideas you have and like deeper principles and philosophy that you want to share with them. Like the more you make someone feel good that you see them as a human being and you care about them and their life, their thoughts, their perspective, experiences, and feelings, like and vice versa, and you develop close friends and family relationships like that, they're going to be more open to hearing what you have to say, and maybe even emulating you and the peace that you find in your life. And so of course, as a philosopher, I gotta remind you, like, always think, focus, don't forget about yourself and your own needs, and knowing more about yourself, because just watch if you get myopically focused on like they're gonna turn us all gay, like, I don't know, like the frog's gay. It was just a parody of Joe Alex Jones, but I'm just saying, like, don't get like too caught up in that, and just don't forget to also live your life and enjoy life, and go out, smile, like meet people, be a good customer, a good patron, polite, like help people see that we can live in this world together without killing each other and violating each other, and live in harmony and help build things and create and flourish. So don't forget that too, whether you own a business or you work somewhere, and just don't forget that those important everyday interactions as well. Smiling at people at the store, not wearing a mask if you're not sick and you have no reason, and to not, or you're not in some dusty place, like whatever, your choice. Like, show people what being a confident, free, independent human being is like as well, and try to spread that, as you go out in the world and work and try to thrive. So
Yeah. No, and we're facing an unprecedented tide. I mean, in my opinion, from what I've seen of the combination of will and technology, if it doesn't come from the United States in terms of, that is bad oppression, technocratic oppression, it will ultimately come from your people. China. It's true. It's true.
I read about Mao Zedong growing up.
No, it's true.
The cultural revolution, aka that massacre famine.
There are many threats to individual liberty, and obviously every person who is in power at some country and somewhere in the world, whatever country you can imagine, they wish to rule the world. But of course, there's a difference between wishing to rule the world and a practical capacity to rule the world. And there's very few who have the practical capacity to rule the world. And I'm not saying in terms of a good or ethical thing. I'm just saying that it could happen. Like, in other words, they are able to violently conquest the world. And among those, I think chiefly the Chinese government and the United States government, because those are the two governments which have the most resources and the most structured and efficient systems for oppression. Because, again, wealth or the implementation of effective technology, can do that. And sadly, we're facing multiple threats.
There's my people that are libertarian. Okay, they're the ones being like imprisoned by the CCP,
right?
Activists, like Hong Kong activists, people in mainland China.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that's what we're facing. It's not just local; it is a global issue. It is the message of liberty and the message of healing people's childhoods and having peaceful relationships is a global issue that if we do not think of it globally in terms of reaching people, which I always do, I think about all the amazing people around the world who are doing things, like Lion Rock Institute, right, in Hong Kong, or, the economic leadership that's being done in specifically Nigeria and Africa. There is
like Students for Liberty spreading around the world. Mises Institute having places.
There's a Mises Institute Cuba, even though I think the head of it just blocked me recently, but I don't care. Go spread liberty.
That's
I just ragged a little bit of Catholicism,
but there's one there.
Yeah, I mean,
Cuba, Brazil.
It's whatever. But it's something that it's so important. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know what I mean? If someone wants to, block me or whatever because of a little dispute on Catholicism or something, whatever. The endeavor for human liberty, it's just my real life there. The endeavor for human liberty is far more important, right? Because in the day, right? I mean, who here wants to be like dead and miserable, right? Oh, you want to be dead and miserable today, or
and stuck
suffer?
And all you do is you work on your computer and you 60% of your taxes, whatever. You can't even go anywhere.
Who doesn't want? Raise your hand. Who doesn't want to be rich?
You just wait for them to tell you to jump
and free.
And when they tell you to jump, you ask how high. Like, do you really want that life?
Right.
I don't want that life. I want to live. I want to expand, and I want to abolish taxation. Like, I want to roll it back.
Right.
I think that's why they really hate people like us who are advocating for pure individual liberty. Like, we're not just keep the status quo. We're like, no, the status quo is fucked up too. Like you shouldn't have so much control over humans and governments being able to enforce a single currency for everyone that they have to use, and take your gold and your silver. So just gotta show people that, and it's cool. A lot of people are growing and changing their minds. The fact that a lot of libertarians are being censored shows that, in my opinion.
I mean, I feel bad about it, but I also feel good about it. It's like, I finally hit that point where
it's also a sign that a lot of people have been effective at spreading the message of liberty and changing minds. So by seeing these bans, to me that actually shows progress in terms of the movement. So they're just clamping down harder because they see that threat, rising more and more, that threat to their narrative. That's why they've come out and been like, okay, Facebook's like false news. Twitter will censor things. YouTube will throttle the reach of your videos or just take down your videos. Instagram, flag it as false information. Like, all of these, people that have stakes in these companies, like, hate it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone said, "What got your Facebook?" It was my Instagram account knocked down and disabled.
My Facebook got taken down. My account.
Yeah,
My superhero.
We don't
account.
know, and for both, we don't know.
No, specifically.
They didn't give a reason.
They didn't say specifically. But yeah, it is imperative to definitely try your best to spread liberty around the world, because if we do not have freedom, I mean, with where things are going,
we're about to see starvation.
Could you imagine? I mean, like,
lack of
imagine these people
growing.
get what they actually want, right? The people who are at the highest levels of, you could say, some people like to say corporate, I like to say state, because really that's where the power is in terms of acknowledging power. But at the highest level of influence, they wish to get to a point where they can murder off most people because they believe that they don't need most people in order to exist. The technology is enough at that point to sustain them, right? That's why they want to have a very much autonomous future where just, most people are needed, so they can just be killed off, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't, if you're one of the wealthy elites, you're like, oh, okay, what could I do to kill off most people, but still be able to have my standard of living, because everything else is automated to such a degree that we don't really need.
You have to make liberty look bad and dangerous.
Right.
More dangerous than them being able to extort you,
right,
systemically for your entire life from cradle to grave, and take your children. Someone's like, George Carlin said a lot about the people who run this country. Yeah, I remember so many of his lines. I saw all the stand-ups I could. I wish there was more than 5.
Right.
But yeah, it's true. They own you. We're owned, so to speak. So
right.
But we can free ourselves from these chains. People do it in different parts of the world over time, over history. The desire for individual freedom is there. So
it is. I really,
fight
I don't
back
know.
Or you take it. You take it in the butt, or you fight back, and you
you
join forces with other people who are want freedom too, and you fight back. You resist. So.
I mean, that's what I write about in my comic, is specifically that struggle. I still do not know personally, because that's where we're at. We're at the divergent path right now. We can either choose, and I mean, I guess kind of choosing. It's like either go along with or not. You can choose a future where there is central planning. Again, that's the chief goal. Collectivism, central planning, a small group of people chooses what everybody else gets to do.
Collective ownership, aka a small monopoly.
The small group of people gets to choose what everybody else gets to live like, and how they get to express themselves, and how they get to live. Or the alternative is freedom, and that's everybody gets to choose how they live, as long as they just don't physically, kill other people or destroy their physical property. They get to choose their associations, choose how they live. And I cannot see that for sure. It scares me to think about, because I look at what those in the governments of the world have, and when I know what they have, which is should be terrifying. Most people should actually be very terrified when you think about how much access, especially the U.S. government, has to all the technology you can imagine. I mean, through the patent office, US 35 USC 181, they literally take everything. When you think about that, you're like, oh, fuck. The reality of what could go down is really scary. You know what I mean? When you look down that barrel. But at the same time, there's the possibility that people are able to escape that and convince enough people to say, no, we don't go the path of technocratic tyranny and complete enslavement. I hope for freedom to win. That's why I do everything I do, is because I want people to actually be free, have happy relationships, and work toward prosperity for themselves, where they just really think life is awesome. I think that's the coolest thing. Like, that makes me happy that people are happy and feel, prosperous. But that battle that we're about to face, because we are at it right now, like, we're legit at that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a video game in a sense, where you're like, okay, you're at the beginning of this like RPG, and you're wondering, okay, what am I gonna have to do?
If you're watching, you probably know this, but we're saying it to people maybe who are just coming on.
Yeah, I mean, you're at that big. You're in it right now. Like whether you like it, know it, whatever or not, you're in it. You're in the RPG. You're in the okay. What you choose to do going forward will change history because we are at that critical juncture where there's going to either be total enslavement of humanity or a renaissance of freedom. So what you do, every little action is going to matter. And I could just, only hope that if, you're seeing this, that you have internalized that mission of wanting freedom to the point that, you want freedom as badly as you want to breathe. You are like, okay, like that this matters. Like being able to have the freedom of expression, freedom to think, talk, explore, trade, invest, like everything like that matters more than, oh, okay, well, these central planners say that they'll give me what I need as long as I just don't say anything offensive to them. Okay. You know what I mean? That is a fucking scary scenario. And that is literally what people live in many countries today. There are so many countries where if you express your, I mean, the most milquetoast criticism of the government, they will come and beat you up, or they'll throw you in jail, to put you in a gulag or work camp. You have to think about North Korea for that. I mean, literally China. Right? We're talking about 1.5 billion people. That's huge.
Korea. I mean, not Korea.
Vietnam. Hong Kong now, national security law, people just outside with literally a Hong Kong flag saying, oh, okay, independence, getting kidnapped and brought into China under night. I mean, that is insane. So what you do matters, and this is it. Like we are going to be us together in this consciousness. We're going to be living through this together. We are literally going to be experiencing whether humanity goes into permanent enslavement or has a renaissance for freedom.
Right. And it'll take time also. It will take time either way because there's resistance on both sides to the opposites of those future. The tyrants resist liberty for all, and libertarians resist tyranny. And some people say like, oh, well, a lot of people are NPCs. It's like, yes, true, you can focus on that, but also focus on how many people over time continue to change their minds towards liberty culture as well. So look at that perspective, like to find hope and realize minds can change. Think of your own journey as a close anecdotal example, but look at the people online and around you. The message of liberty is growing. So, you can make a difference. I've heard people just say that their minds have been changed just from debating people on Facebook or Twitter. Like just literally some random person willing to take time out of their day to engage in a debate about the nature of liberty and having a society based on body and property rights respected, and what that looks like. Like I've had, people's minds will change. You don't know exactly what it is, but you can always just, put your truths out there and see what happens. And with your own friends and family, like, you can choose to associate based on how you want. Like, I mean, up to you. Do you want to spend your time with someone who's just purely, authoritarian status and has no, love for humanity, doesn't want any ounce of individual freedom? I mean, you can also just choose to not, give resources or spend time with those people. And likewise, find those that do care about it and try to grow things together. So,
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's gonna take a conscious choice. You're gonna have to choose, and as much as it seems like as if it is a distant thing in the future, like, oh, this is gonna happen to somebody else. This is something I read about in history textbooks. I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be the case for any of us here.
I mean, you're gonna have to live under a rock to like really not. I mean, who are you speaking to? Like, you think there are people like watching who just don't get how serious it is?
I think that anybody who's watching is either facing it now or they're likely going to face it very soon. Like the direct question, they will have to make a choice. Like, for some people, obviously, if you're in a very remote place, whatever, like
right, you're like
South
in
Dakota,
some
rural somewhere, where there's
your
nothing,
house
right?
Is far away.
But eventually, you're going to have to be faced with that tough choice, which is, do I comply or do I stand for liberty?
And fight.
And that's going to happen, I believe, for most everybody watching in the very near future. It's just, if Trump wins, you know what I mean? Maybe some of those questions will be pushed off a little bit more. Again,
some people think
I'm not
maybe
a fan
not,
of Trump or anything like that. Of course,
there will be people who will riot and loot.
That it's inevitable. Like eventually, it's going to swing back to a openly, robustly totalitarian bent, as it often does. You know what I mean? You're going to be faced with that question, whether it's on a state level, presidential level, otherwise. You're going to be facing that question.
It reminds me, like, I mean, I think that's true. That, hey, Essential Freedom, he said the war will come in our lifetime within the next year. I don't know when, but I mean, it feels like a war this year. Definitely, for so many people, their direct local government is saying you can't come out of your house, like you can't open your business, you can't dine in, you can't trade, or you're not essential. Like, it is a war this year, and has been for several years. It just depends on who you are, but more and more they're waging a war on everybody. It's not just war on drugs, and you can just be like, it's just crack addicts that get to get bothered by the state,
right?
You can spy on me, I'm not doing anything wrong, and then suddenly I don't know why they have that kind of accent, but things are changing. More and more people are being criminalized for victimless actions and peaceful actions. And I can't help but think of my own family escaping governments literally coming to them and them having to make a decision of either you comply, you fight, or you flee, or you run away. And we're at this time in our lives where there's no America to run to. There's no there's Hong Kong is freaking, like, there's national security law. Like, there's no, I don't think there's really any more places to run in terms of a whole country. It's just every place is either high taxation, no gun rights, or they spy on you, or whatever. There's so many. And I just, being in America, born and raised American, like, this is my stand. Fleeing is not an option to me. And so it's just fight or comply.
Right.
And my family had to do that. I just think, like, I wonder if I'll have to face that situation where my aunt, who I'll never meet, my oldest aunt on my mom's side, just shot in front of her husband and her kids, and my grandma at the time, when she was alive, and my mom. She was only 4, so she doesn't remember much. And they had to run through the woods between Cambodia and Vietnam to flee the Khmer Rouge, and she was murdered, shot in the face. They didn't have guns, they didn't fight back. And I just, knowing what I've learned from being able to explore the internet and all the information of the world, and learn about history in different parts of the world and tyranny, and learn about Austrian economics and what voluntarism is, and these different movements. Like, I really want to seize that chance of tremendous knowledge that has led up to this point, and try to keep pushing that forward, and avoid that situation again where, I wouldn't want my sister to be just shot in the face in front of her kids, or her husband. Like, it's just horrible. I don't want good people to suffer, and I don't want the tyrants to continue to live in comfort like they do. So I think we can change it.
Hopefully.
And that's why people are getting censored. So
I
think that's a good way to close it, tie it back to the beginning. But yeah, definitely follow me, mine's Float MeWe. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. Yeah, definitely learn some self-defense.
Yeah. I mean, I just lost the count I've had for 10 years. So
crypto.
go ahead and get those other accounts going on. Mine's Float Mayway. Just have them, because again, as I've been saying, it is just a matter of time. The people who are in control of those major moderation, aspects of the social media companies, they are ready to just remove everything to make sure they can do whatever they can to ensure that their favorite candidate wins. So just go ahead, get it on, get your friends on, get your parents, friends, whatever. Just tell them, get on up there. And yes, someone's like, OnlyFans. I don't know about OnlyFans, but again, there's some other stuff out there. And just Rika, getting on there will just keep the connections up, so that way you can still see and talk to a lot of people you've met all over the world who love liberty, because the time's now.
I gotta mention, somebody said, they're like, oh God, I would love to just have dinner with you guys and just talk in person. And I'm like, yeah, how do we do that?
Yeah, that's true. We're gonna make some events. We're planning to do. We've been talking about this for a bit.
Yeah.
Doing some in-person events, kind of like a small group hangout.
Probably small. I like food, small because you can really get to know each other.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, maybe 20.
Yeah, 10 to 12.
Max. But even 20 is kind of a lot. But that 10, 12. You can really get to know each other and meet everybody, have time for everyone. So just, definitely, stay in touch. We want to have more in-person events too. So
we're tired of all
networking
the
and you guys can network with each other.
So
definitely tired of the shutdowns.
Maybe even do a tour at some point. We'll see.
Yeah.
Tour
we avoid avoid New York, avoid LA. Seattle.
Sorry, New York.
Sorry, Seattle.
Yeah. Places where you can actually enjoy freedom.
But aren't there places even in New York, Cali, and Washington that are remote and there's pockets of libertarians?
There probably
get away from the big cities.
I don't know. But then again, who's gonna go that far? I don't know. But yeah.
Okay, so South Dakota it is. Alabama. Well.
Yeah, that are a fun.
Georgia, Florida,
warm
Texas.
Place, right? On the beach, right?
Texas.
Beach meetup.
Beach meetup. That'd be
That's
cool.
What I'm saying.
Woo! Party time.
Party time.
Yeah, we just talk about principles.
Yeah.
Someone's like, come to Florida, please. That is a very warm, tropical,
Florida's
beautiful
definitely a place.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're gonna figure it out and make it happen. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Love you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out, everyone.
Take care.
Hope you take care and we'll see you around. Let's keep in touch. Bye.